And finally, I am going to talk about technical indicators. Even though you can write your own code and program your robot however you wish, Freqtrade is designed with technical indicators in mind. Let's have a look at strategy customization. You can read a tremendous amount about indicators here. Remember that we are using pandas. Every 5 minutes or so, we get a new candle with a block of data associated with each candle. Down here, we can see the technical indicators included by default. It's worth reading up what all these different indicators do. I'm sure you've got a great idea for a strategy. There's a very good chance that somebody's already written a technical indicator to pull out the information that you're after. Down here, we can see, again, the libraries that are included. If you click on the link, you'll see that in the TA library, we have 150 plus indicators, including the popular ones, ADX, MaxD, etc. Further down, you'll see the full list. Overlap studies, momentum indicators, the average directional movement index, ADX. Another popular one is MACD, moving average convergence divergence. And the list goes on. So, quick recap. I have my compose file with a third bot. We called it EMA. We have an EMA strategy file. We have an EMA config file. The EMA config file, max trade 6, experimental money 1000, bot name EMA, and the EMA strategy itself is based on our skeleton. If you followed the last discussion on programming, I added some information about dates. I am going to remove that. So we are back to our skeleton file. As we want to use their technical indicator library, we need to import it. So I'll import the library and call it TA. Of all our technical indicators, I am going to experiment with the exponential moving average so we can reference it. Square brackets. Let's use our exponential moving average over a time period of 3 candles. Let's just keep it simple for now. In that case, we should give this a descriptive name. You'll notice that Visual Studio is complaining. Indentation is important. If you remember from looking in the manual, data frame is a block of data. We have now added a column to our block of data called EMA3. Some of you may have realized that if we do back testing or even run live, our first results are not going to be good because they won't be averaged. So over here in the strategy, we're going to add a new instruction. Startup candle count. It will be an integer of value. Let's give it a big value, 200. So this means that whatever time period we test our strategy, program will grab candles in front of our time period so that it starts with the correct average. One of the many subtle points you'll come across when using this software. So to quickly illustrate what we have just done, I will call up our web interface, which means that I have to start Docker desktop, no containers, that's correct. One image, that's correct. Let's go over to our FT user data, open PowerShell, and Docker compose up. Now I can open a new tab, type in localhost 8080. Let's log in. Freqtrade was on 80. Yes, I've deleted many things since the last time I showed you this. If you're logged into your browser, this information will be remembered. EMA is on bot 82. Make sure you have selected EMA because trade chart and logs depend on that initial choice. Our bot is up and running. So if everything is working, our technical indicators should be available to our chart. Plot configurator. Instead of messing with the default, I am going to create a new one. There's many quirks to this program. You have to make sure you keep clicking on yes, agree, OK, save. In the main plot, the indicator to add, let's click on add new indicator. We have the data available from the Panda data frame, plus our new one, EMA3. So we're going to add this. I'm going to make it a nice obvious color, and save, and OK, and refresh. There we have it. Pressing that refresh button caught me out many times, but that's the way it's done. So now we have our exponential moving average averaged over 3 candles. Just to give you an idea of how this software works, if we go over to our default bot and over to trade, there is no EMA. Let's create a new one. Let's call it Rich Freqtrade. So the original Freqtrade strategy includes ADX, RSI, FastD, FastK, MACD, even Bollinger Bands. Let's add a Bollinger Band and reload configuration. I find that rarely works. So there we have our Bollinger Band. Moving on then, we can add more technical indicators and do interesting things with them. If you look at the original sample strategy and scroll down to populate indicators, you'll see the code on how to call up all these different indicators. ADX is a very straightforward call. RSI is a simple call. Bollinger Bands are called there. EMA time periods. Some are a bit more demanding than others. Thankfully, all the information is online. So coming back over to our experiment, I am going to add 2 moving averages. One I am going to call the exponential moving average now, and I will average it over 6 time periods, 6 candles. And the second one I will call in the past, also averaged over, well, just for demonstration, let's average that over 12 time periods. I have to reload this. Let's see if we can get it to work pressing the reload button. Oh, it's done. Now that that's finally done, let's go over to my EMA test. EMA 3 is not available, as understandable, but we should have, but we don't. So let's refresh the whole page. Try that again. Remove. Add new. Nope, still not there. Okay. Sometimes this reload config refreshes everything. More often than not, I press Ctrl-C, close the robots, restart them, come back over here, press refresh, and now for sure the new changes are applied. EMA now. And EMA passed. And a refresh. So now it's averaged over 6 candles, and the past is averaged over 12. So obviously it will be smoother. So how do we actually use technical indicators? Simply done by adding it to the code. Populate entry trend. When should we buy? Well, let's buy when the volume is greater than 0 and our average is greater than some number. It really is that simple. Obviously, greater than some number will only work in a very specific case for one particular coin pair. Here we have Bitcoin, which is oscillating around 68,500. So in our code, for our code to make any sense whatsoever, we should put 68,500. Restart our code. There's 2 ways of implementing your changes. One is to press this button, which reloads your strategy and config file. That, however, takes quite a while, and for me, it's not always reliable. I find that I have to stop the bot, remove the containers, restart the bot. Now, on our web interface, we can refresh, and you can see what's happened. Now the changes have taken effect. Over here, we can see that our exponential moving average is above at 68,500, so we have buy signals. Over here, the average is dropped below 68,500, we have no buy signals. I'm using the wheel on my mouse for the quick zoom. So there you have it. I have told my robot to automatically buy when this criteria is met, and I can do the same for sell. I think selling here would be better, and buying here would be the wise choice. Let's just do that to give a demonstration. I'm going to copy both those lines, put it in my exit signal, and change this one to less. Is that the right way around? Let's go and have a look. No error messages, which is good. That means we haven't made any typos. Let's refresh our chart. So if it's less than 68,500, we have buy. Let's zoom in on a clear. So we have the buy signals when things are low, and we have exit sell signals when things are high. I'm going to run a quick back test. The instruction was docker compose run, remove when finished, name a bot, the instruction, and then all the switches. So time range, let's do 1st of April to the 10th of April. The strategy is EMA. The config file is user_data/ema.json. Other switches, export, none, cache, none, time frame, 5 minutes. So hopefully no typos. And off it goes. And there we have it. Our first customized strategy makes a loss of 8% while the market goes down 1%. If we scroll up, we can see that our forced exit, which I assume is the trades that are still open when we reach the end of our time frame. Stop loss. Aha. That's true. Use exit signal equals false. Well, let's set this to true. Now the trailing stops will be ignored, and I think the stop loss is never ignored. So let's set the stop loss to say 50%. And let's set these to false just to make sure. I believe this instruction has a higher priority to these instructions, but don't take anything for granted. Read the manual. Let's run this again with our customized stops exit signal. -7%. Well, hey, that's an improvement. Now I will quickly illustrate a strategy that is a little bit more useful. How about if we generalize our exponential moving average information so that we can assess if a coin pair is actually going up or down? I'm going to rename this to EMA now and have it averaging over a time period of, say, 6. And now I'm going to have a second EMA, which is called the past. But the past is simply going to be now with an offset of 20 candles. Stop everything. You can see here lots of error messages. Clearly I have made a mistake in the code. If we scroll all the way up to where we started, we can track down the error. For troubleshooting, look for the first error. Look for the files that you have edited. Go over to your code. And you can see that I'm referencing EMA3. and I don't have an EMA 3. Let's try that again. Found open trades. We don't need to worry about that. Minimum stake amount. When buying and selling shares, it's a good idea not to go below, say, $20, because you can only sell in minimal blocks of $10, $12. Okay, seems to be working. Let's have a look at the charts. Let's refresh this. Be aware that we have now renamed the indicators. We have a now. And we have a past. So what did I just do? I used offset to say, let's simply draw the exponential moving average and then draw the same again, but in the past. So at any particular moment, I can say this is the price now, and 20 candles back, the price was here. This is the price now. If I count back 20 candles, the price was here. So wherever I have the now, I also know what the price was 20 candles back. This now tells me that at any particular moment in time, I can see quickly and easily if my coin pair is increasing or decreasing. And where they cross, I know that there is an upward trend happening or a downward trend is happening. How is that useful? I can compare these two pieces of information. How should I compare it? I can say if now is above the past, things are going up. Whereas if now is below the past, things are going down. Let's stop the bot, clean it up, restart the bot. Let's go over to our chart. I have to wait for the bot. No error messages. There we go. So, did I get the logic correct on this? Things are going up. We have buy signals. Things are going down. We have exit signals. Obviously, I want to back test this. So we'll back test over the Same period, same settings. And our profit is even worse. Did I get the logic the right way round? Quick edit and a quick back test will show us minus 20. So it seems that I got my logic reversed there. What else can we do? Let's introduce some variables just so that you can see how it's written. Instead of 20, let's change this to a variable. Let's call it number of candles or periods ago and set that to 20. And then in here, number of periods ago. Easy way to put variables in your code. Clearly this is a very simple strategy just to illustrate some points. If you want to leave your robot running to see if it's working in real time as opposed to back testing, a little tip that I discovered is to go over to your database folder, find the database of your strategy in question, delete the files, restart your robots, and now you'll find that your dashboard is back to the original values. In this case, this will say 1000 in a minute when it has done some more processing. And just for fun, I'm going to edit this strategy to say, don't do anything if the values are close. Only operate if the values are large, the differences are large. How would I do such a thing? Let's create a new column in our Panda table. Let's call it the difference. Now, minus the past divided by the past and multiply the result by 100. And take the absolute value to avoid negatives. This will give us the percentage difference of the values. So we want to sell when it's high and buy when it's low. And only if the difference is greater than 0.01. I literally just said we have to code with pandas. And there we have it. Now the difference has to be above a certain value for it to take effect. On the buy signals, I've obviously made it too large a value because now I'm only left with sell signals. As I made it a percentage, let's say 1%, greater than 1%. I'm also going to change these back to trailing stops in preparation for the next discussion about more advanced hyper-optimization. So I'm going to turn the bot off. I will run a simple back test. And leave it there in readiness for my final chat on advanced hyper-optimization.